and off we go.
It is a beautiful morning. A little bit chilly, but a beautiful morning.
Well, that should have you bothered, shouldn't it?
No, not at all. We had so much moisture yesterday. I'm at peace.
We didn't have that much yesterday.
No, but we've been getting spit on for at least 3 or 4 days now.
That's a
So,
nice
I mean,
way.
a little bit of spit, adds up, right?
Okay, working here, we are used to being something that rhymes with spit on, but it's
Oh, my goodness.
6 inches in the last 24 hours up there at Bryan Head. That's exactly where it needs to be.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, in town, we've gotten what we've needed, and the mountains are getting what they need. Good morning. It's McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday.
We haven't done this. Do you have a second? Call us up real quick.
The snowpack?
Snowpack, see how we sit. This affects agriculture, right?
Yeah, we can go into snowpack. We're good. Somebody said we were like at 105% the other day, maybe 110%.
I've heard 125. That seemed a bit ambitious. We are at 110.
110, yeah.
Awesome.
It's not bad, but I mean, that'll change next week.
Yeah, but I don't think Beaver County's quite that good yet.
Beaver area is at 117, so they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, well, they never get enough water.
Right. We never have enough
I
water.
always want more. Us ranchers and farmers, we're always looking.
Amen to that.
Right, and you can pray for the rain. Who knows? And you know what's hilarious to me? Just on the whole moisture thing. Everybody complains about the rain and things between November and April. Oh, it's raining again. Oh, it's
rain!
snowing
I
again.
love rain.
It's doing this. Oh my gosh. And then they pray for it between May and October. Come on, guys.
No,
There's seasonality for a reason.
No, I don't pray for it. Jason. I pray, and Chris and I are into this. We pray for moisture when we need it, very specifically. And I have to tell you, Chris, not that I'm in good with the Lord or anything,
It's been working, though.
but my prayers this year have been answered.
Rain
Well,
down
I'm
here.
just saying.
Snow up there.
Yeah.
Right. And it all balances out. And what's really cool and what's really critical in our high desert area is making sure that we get the snowpack for the summer ranges, but we also have the moisture through the winter for the winter ranges and the aquifers. And what's incredible is, and we're not going to talk about water on this show, but I'd love to get maybe in a future show. But the state of Nevada passed legislation that water is water, regardless of if it's groundwater or surface water. And so it'd be interesting to see what that's actually going to turn into of where the water is owned or who has the water type of a thing. Because in the state of Utah, water is one of those top 2 politically, associated. Like if you're for water or against water type of a thing.
Right. Politics, religion, and water. Those are the 3 things you don't talk about
Right.
around the dinner table.
Right. And so it'll just, be interesting. But going into the moisture and, the snowpack, I am grateful that the snow has stayed in the mountains because eventually it backfeeds, all the aquifers and stuff. And now, being from Beaver County, is it true that there is a underground an underground river that comes from Beaver through up into the Burro Valley?
I don't know if it's ever been proven, but which way does it flow?
Down.
Nobody knows. Whether it goes north to south, south to north,
Right.
east to west, west to ending. You never know. Just because it flows one way on top of the ground doesn't mean under the ground that it's flowing the same way.
No, which is incredible. So I have Brand Inspector Dane Marshall in studio with us today. And it's really fun to have him in studio because he wears so many different hats. I mean, today you're in a cowboy hat, but in the fall season you wear a baseball cap for coaching football,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
But through all of that, you have a pretty well-rounded perspective of what's going on with farming and ranching.
Well, I run 130 head of mom cows and have 130 acres of farm ground too. So the water is important to me, both moisture-wise in the wintertime, and I've never seen a reservoir so full so early. Minersville Lake is reservoir, whatever you call it nowadays. It's been full. I don't think we even hardly touched the surface of it last year, and we ran a lot of water down the old creek bed, and that refurbished the underground aquifer and stuff like that. So the more water we can, spread out like that and get there, the better off our land is.
It really is. And the difference in, surface water versus underground water is is your key, comment was you never know what happens to it. So
Right.
you take advantage of what you have and you're grateful for what you have when you have it.
Yes, and like I said, we could never have too much in a farmer's aspect. There's never, I mean, when my dad was here, if you wanted a 2-hour conversation, like you said, just bring up water and you're stuck for 2 hours. The old timers they love to talk about water and where it goes, and they don't know. I mean, we're getting so high tech that they may be able to start seeing down underneath with some of the solar things that they got, but it's still a crapshoot. When you go to drill a well, you don't know if there's water down there or not. You might have to drill 200 feet. You may have to drill 2,000. You just never know.
Well, and it's really incredible how much faith farmers and ranchers have in making sure that the water comes up and or down from the different aspects, because our, I made a comment quickly earlier, but it's kind of like the black market or the underground. Nobody really understands what agriculture does other than they get fed.
Yeah.
But getting from field to table or
Yeah.
farm to table, it's kind of a mystery.
I seen a thing yesterday. I think it said 10% of the people feed 90% of the people, and 90% don't recognize the 10%.
Right, and they truly, and it's not. I don't. For the most of the 90%, I don't think it's just straight ignorant. It's
It's just
not being exposed to it.
most kids think you go to the store and the milk's in the box and that's in the carton.
Or
That's where you get
where
it.
do you get chocolate milk?
Oh yeah, from a chocolate cow.
Which I love. I mean, I have an uncle who is obsessed with chocolate milk, and he literally just buys it pre-made and everything. He'll go through 2 gallons a week. It's a little intense. So with all of that, and we are in spring season with mother cows and everything else. So as the local brand inspector, what are some of the safety tips, that are out there right now?
Well, you can guarantee there's going to be some type of baby, either a lamb or a calf or something, laying somewhere that the mama's set down. And if you watch these babies, it's kind of cool if you know what you're watching for, because they're curled up in a little ball. And that's their mechanism of staying hidden. And while mom goes and gets a drink and gets something to eat, she's going to be back. So, but if you get out and you spook that calf, if these calves can just take off and run, and they can run from here to Canyon View High School before they stop if they get spooked. And so if you spook them that far, they're not going to, mom's not going to be able to find that calf. Or if you go pick up a baby lamb or maul a baby calf, you're going to take the scent away from that calf, and the mom is going to not be able to, and she may not claim it.
Which is a higher, is a very dangerous thing, because then the baby eventually starves.
Yes.
And because they're not, I'm not a producer by any means. I try to learn as much as I can, right? But to me, newborns are purely fed from milk for at least 4 weeks.
Yeah. They usually start eating about the second week, picking up the
Okay,
food.
pick it.
And it's, but not enough that they can survive.
Right.
And it's just people. It's not that they're doing it on purpose to steal the
Or
animal.
malicious.
Or malicious. They're thinking they're doing a good thing,
Right.
but they're not. It's just. I'm married to one that comes from the city. She likes to stop and make sure everything's okay. We were going out yesterday to check the fence, and here's this hound dog. She gets out and coaxes this hound dog to her. He's a lion dog. It's like,
Oh.
leave it alone. The owners luckily it was one of our neighbors. We put it in the truck, and he was actually out on our private ground looking for this dog. So it was a good story. But for the most part, the working dogs and the Iron County Sheriff's Department actually put a post out on the Facebook, and it ended up going to ABC Channel 4 News, and about leaving these guard dogs. They are not abandoned. If you pick up these Great Pyrenees and get them away from their sheep herd, that sheep herd now becomes accessible to a coyote or
Mountain lion.
Yeah, mountain lions.
Domestic dogs even.
Yes, and it is actually, we got in our legislature that it's against the law to stop and pick one of these dogs up.
Well, and then what happens on the back end too is if you pick up these working dog animals, they no longer have a purpose. They end up in shelters.
Yep.
And the producers are like, well, I can't take it back because now it's used to people, right?
Yep.
And the other side of it is they're such a big dog, they're a big responsibility for a domestic life.
Yeah.
And so now you've ruined the purpose of the dog.
Right.
You know, or excuse me, the working dog.
Well, and the great Pyrenees that I've been around, I wouldn't want to grab one because
Right.
they don't only protect their sheep from four-legged predators, they protect them from two-legged predators
Right,
too.
from anybody that is not
Yes.
their person.
Yeah.
Right? There's a producer over on Canary Mountain. He has I don't know, probably a dozen dogs and different things, and they're all named specific names and different things. And one of them looks like a damn wolf. Like I wouldn't want to. I mean, she is the most friendliest working dog that I've met, but she looks like a wolf. I'd be like, I'm not going near that.
I don't like dogs. I mean, I'm kind of scared of dogs, especially, you know, in my line of work, you pull up to a farm and you get greeted by 2 border collies and 3 healers. I'm not opening my car door until I see an owner, you know, because you don't know if they're very protective and very, very possessive of their place. And I just don't open the door until the owner comes out.
No, agreed. So within, go ahead.
And most of them are like, oh, they might lick you to death, but they won't bite. Yeah. That's just like saying a bull won't take you. You know, you never trust them.
No, agreed. And we can't. They're almost like men and women. We can't read each other's mind.
Yeah. Even though women think they can.
Well, I mean, we like to think we're, on top of it. So within your boundaries, remind me, it's iron and beaver.
So actually, a brand inspector is a state inspector.
Okay.
Usually, my boundaries as a I'm the southern end supervisor, so I go from Blanding to Callio, from Lehigh to St. George. And every year.
How many millions of acres?
I wouldn't even dare say. But I have 23 grade inspectors underneath me, so it makes my job really well. Really
So, and within that, though, the range so this radio station, I believe, now Chris, correct me where I'm wrong, I believe it covers Iron, Beaver, and Kane County, and maybe the northern parts of Washington County.
Yeah.
Ish,
Especially
right?
the northeast part of Washington County.
Northeast, okay.
Yeah, Hurricane Thunder.
So within that region, so to speak, there's lots of open range, and there's lots of people that calve on the open range. Now, lambs are a little bit different because sheep, I've been told this by producers, so I don't feel bad saying it on the air, but they try to die as soon as they hit the ground. So they're typically, in lambing sheds specifically, but as soon as they're big enough, they do go out on the open range. And between this footprint of the radio show, there are thousands, if not a million acres of open range, and the dirt roads and the paved roads all cross through that. The public interface with that is still huge.
Yeah. And like I said earlier in the show, that mama's going to lay that baby down, and she's going to have, because she needs a drink and she needs to get some nutrition for herself. And it's almost like they walk over and they like, okay, do not move no matter what. And they'll lay in there, and that calf will lay there until you actually touch it or, get real close to it to startle it, and then it just jumps up and it flights and it runs.
It's in a survivor flight.
Yeah. And so it's very important just to leave that baby lay in there so that mother will come back to it.
And what I've also noticed is they kind of do nurseries, right?
Yeah.
They'll lay all the calves, or the calves, excuse me. All the mothers will lay all the calves relatively close to each other, and then 1 or 2 moms will stay and hang around.
Yep.
And then the others will go and feed and, take care of themselves.
They like take turns.
I feel like in the human aspect of that, it's everybody playing at the park, right?
Yeah.
Mom needs to run an errand here. This mom needs to run an errand there. These 2 moms are in charge of everybody. And in that aspect, those other mamas are going to fight to the death.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My
Don't
wife
touch
calls
my
them the
baby.
babysitter.
Yes.
And it's, I try to tag all mine the day they're born, right as soon as they're born. And I have one really bad cow. She's probably had her last calf in my herd because I got a video of it. She puts me right back in the truck this year. Well, yesterday I was tagging one in the corral and looked up, and she was from me to you, away from me. And
Oh, goodness.
it wasn't even her calf, but she was on that
Protective.
protected, you know, and
you're the rancher.
and you hate to cull those kind of cows, because if you're calving on the open range and a coyote comes and tries to get that calf, that mother's going to fight to the death for that baby.
Right.
And I almost, you know, some of these people that stop and try to help the babies and stuff, I kind of wish that cow was around sometimes just to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
You know, and that, but then I have to think that they're not doing it maliciously, and they're just doing their part about thinking that baby's abandoned, and they're really not.
It's really funny too. I mean, not funny, but like you see all these stories, or you go onto Facebook Marketplace or something, and abandoned calf found. Who wants
Yeah.
it? Please claim this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
go put it back.
It belongs to somebody.
It does.
And the best thing to do with that, if you are concerned, call me or call the sheriff's office and let us know. Even take a pin of that calf. Get online, get my cell phone number, and send me that pin, and I will go out and check and make sure that it's taken care of and who it belongs to and stuff like that. And we'll get that baby taken care of.
Well, and that leads me to my next, how many producers are within the southern half of the state, right? Thousands.
Yes.
I mean, we hear 2 or 3 names here and there, and oh, they're an old family, here and there. But really, there's anybody that runs 25 head to thousands of head is still a producer going through spring calving and lambing season. The other thing that we're also going through is shearing season. So they're trying to get the herds rounded up to go through the shearing process to then disperse before they start lambing. And that's another trigger, right?
Yeah.
This sheep's been abandoned, or this. The other thing, oh my gosh, I felt so bad about this with the producer, but this guy was driving through the fog in an open range area, hit 30 head of sheep. Like, he looked up and all of a sudden they were there and he couldn't do anything, and then it was done. Make sure you're driving appropriately for the conditions.
Yes.
And I get the conditions change every like 2 miles. Like, I get it. But, especially in southern Utah, we have so much open range still, which is such a benefit to the community. It generates millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in economic activity. But we have to pay attention when we're on those 2-lane highways.
Well, yeah, and the prime example is just north here of Cedar City, north from Cedar City to Rush Lake. It's all open range. And those cows seem to, if we get a little bit of moisture like we did last night, they're out there in them little grooves that they cut. And I don't know what they cut the grooves for, but other than to water the cows and the sheep. But that's, I mean, that's basically, they get out there and they drink out of them little dills. And my advice when you're driving and you see a cow on the side of the road or in the road or anywhere close to the road, slow down, because you never know whether that cow's calf's on the other side of the road and going to try to make it back to mama before you get by. I mean, it's just a security blanket of wanting. I mean, you wouldn't speed through a school zone with kids on both sides of the road. The cattle are that important to us too, and the sheep. They're our livelihood. So
I think people need to, also start, taking a breath or realizing what agriculture in general does for them as well, because if 10% of us are feeding the 90% of us, as humans,
No, I can't see that. I don't work with agriculture though.
as you eat the apple from California.
No, I think it came from Washington.
Oh, very, very possible. I mean, but like just taking note of the different things grown and or harvested or produced from Iron County makes you a little bit more aware of what's actually, going on in the underground of what's turning our country into what it is.
Yeah.
And the lack of awareness or the lack of learning about what's going on is, to some degree, I would say it's ignorant. But 2, if you don't know where it comes from, what are you doing?
Yeah. And the best thing to do, what everybody else does, Google it.
Right.
Google's everybody's best friend anymore. Google where milk comes from, check it out.
Right? You might be surprised. The other half,
Comes from a carton for crying out loud.
I know, plastic carton, no less. Remember when they
Aisle
came in
number
glass? Right? And all the way in the back, so you get 14 different things you didn't need at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, with so many random products in them. By the way, like labels for ingredients have grown, and you can't even understand what's in your
My
food right
my favorite label now is the one on bottles of water.
now. Bottles of water.
Yeah, what does this contain? Water. Like, we need a label to figure that one out.
Well, I mean, the regulations, that's a whole nother story.
But the problem with the water thing is they got flavoring water now, and they got water that's got electrolytes in it, and they got, they couldn't just sell straight water anymore, so now they had to start
They
adding
had
to
had
that water.
fanciness.
Smart water, that's the one I think is the funniest, that has smart
This will make
water,
you smarter.
right on the bottle.
Right.
Is that, you gonna be smarter because you drink this bottle of water, or what?
It hasn't worked with me so far.
Yeah, no, it just, it's a whole variety show. And, to that degree, the organization I'm associated with, the Utah Farm Bureau Federation, is really into product product of origin
Yeah.
labeling and making sure that people know what is grown where. And so they're consuming, where they know from where, oh, Hannah, I'm losing my words. They're trying to make sure that people understand where their food is grown. And most of,
Where it originates.
where it originates.
Yeah.
And between the beef market and the hay market, Iron County is a substantial contributor worldwide to the different industries. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Thane, so much for joining me. I love.
I need to put one more thing out there, producers. It's time to get your bulls tested for trichinosis. Don't make me come and write you a citation, please.
Don't get a ticket.
Don't
Get-
make me come back there.
Right. Get your bulls tricked. Thank you so much, Thane, for joining us. This has been McKinnon Hansen, your host
And who are you?
of Wired Wednesday. I'm McKinnon Hansen. I'm
how do
your
we get a hold of you?
local Farm Bureau Financial Services agent, 435-592-2021. And any real estate needs, I am with the Larkin Group at KW Realty. Google the Larkin Group or go to gocedarcity.com.
Oh, you got Google in there.
Hey, I'm getting better at this whole outro thing, I would say.
All right.
Thank you so much.
One last time, a quick check of what's happening on the highways. Captain Craig